Welcome back to episode 116. So for all of you new folk, this is my 9 to 8 restoration project. I started it 2 years ago and there's been 115 episodes before this where I've slowly usually broken something and had to fix it, but taken this car apart and rebuilt it. I've done the engine, the fueling, suspension, all sorts of things. And now, episode 116, I'm going to be welding on the sill. So in last week's episode, I did the inner sill. I cut out the bad pieces of rust, created patches and welded those in. I'm really pleased with how that went. I'm not the tidiest welder in the world, but that is strong, robust and in. So in this week's episode, what I want to do is get that sill on. Now this is a job I've been waiting, I don't know, probably 6 months to do. I first noticed that the sill was rotten probably about that long ago. I've got the sill, which is a replacement sort of fabricated sill. Theoretically, I just need to cut off the bits of metal that are in the way and bolt this one on. Should be straightforward. Let's dive in and see how I get on though. Please remember, click subscribe, click the like button, leave me comments, tell me what I'm doing wrong. But let's just get in there and see how I get on. So this morning what I want to do is spray this Genolite rust killer all along the inside of the sill. I painted in there as far as I could, but I just was never really happy that I got everything. So I've rigged up, this I think is the spray head from when I used to spray Waxol, or sprayed Waxol on the underside of a car. Tube, and then the adapter thing on there. And I've put a little bit of Genolite inside the milk container, which I've cut open. And I'm just testing that it works. Obviously I've tested once and it worked really well, so I thought I'd show you. It needs to be in there because otherwise it would be all over the room. But I guess unsurprisingly that works fine. Right, this is the end I'm really interested in. So I'm going to poke in probably that hole or this hole, come along there and then spray as I drag it back. It's finally that time I need to get this sill plate, I think they call it, off. And just to check before I started videoing, I've been sort of, I can feel underneath where the clips are because obviously my sill is off, so I can feel them, and I've just been sliding my screwdriver underneath and checking. It's not actually attached there at all. So reading on Renlist, there appears to be 5 or so sort of male connectors that hold it on the inside edge, and I've just been using this long screwdriver. This is the replacement sill. I need to go around the front just to check, but it's pretty clear it's down here, isn't it? And I don't think this is actually anywhere near this. No, it's not. I was kind of hoping that the sill trim, that piece of plastic, actually covered the join, but it doesn't. It's nowhere near. So I'm going to have to basically cut along here, weld along there, rub it, and to be filled and then sprayed, look neat. If it's under here, obviously it doesn't need to be quite as neat. I need to work out, am I far enough forwards or not? That's good though, at least we're getting there, slowly but surely. And that's the front edge. It's almost aligned. I can't quite align it because there's obviously still metal that I need to cut out. But it fits pretty well, I would say. It's not far off at all. So holding up with my foot, I can push it in and I can see that it's really going to be quite close to the this seam underneath, which is good. Yeah, not bad, I would say. I need to work out what to cut off here though. I've been leaving a bit of the metal because it looked good, as in solid, but clearly that's going to have to come out now. Right, I've managed to sort of clamp the sill in place. I think it's the correct place approximately. And I've marked with pencil all the way along the top edge, down that back edge over there. And this is sat in the correct place here. So what I'm going to do now then is take it all off. I'm going to cut along that top edge. Clear off all the paint with the flat pad, get it nice and shiny. And then, ultimately what I'm going to do is offer it up, tack it, and just check the positioning's right before we weld it on properly. Okay, what I want to do now then is grind along this edge, get the paint off. I've still got more to cut off this end, more to cut off up the other end, and more to cut off along the length, sort of grinding it back. But I don't know how much I'm going to take off by removing the paint. So I figured take the paint off first, let's create an edge that I could weld to, and then we'll start sort of trimming it to make it the right size, ready for that welding. So let's start grinding. As you can imagine, that comes off pretty easily. Paint doesn't stand up to a grinder like that very long. So I've done all the way up to there. I can't go to that point while the door's on. Right, I'm ready to do the, I'm going to call it Waxoling, but I'm not going to use Waxol after a couple of you guys told me not to. I'm going to use ACF 50 to spray it all inside that sill, coat it, secure it, protect it. So I'm going to be doing that today. And if you were very observant, you would notice a slight alteration to my door where I've undone the hinges, taken it off the hinges, folded it back round and sort of put it over there. I've done it like that because I didn't want to undo the wiring. I don't want to break the wiring connections at the moment. I probably do need to take the door off when I finally go and spray, but I can deal with that later. For now, I just want to do this, and the door's in the way for me to do the welding, so that's why it's out of the way. So let's get the spray stuff ready. I'll spray on with the compressor, and I've got a flexible lance, the same as I did for the rust killer. Effectively, I mean, this is quite runny, so that's just going to spray in there without any problem at all. We'll spray it all the way along, protect it really nicely, then I'll give it a day or two to sort of set and go off, and then we'll get on with the welding. What I might be able to do is a bit more prep on the welding while I'm waiting for that stuff to dry. But let's just get in, spray that and see where we are. Okay, so I've got my bottle of ACF 50. As I said, it's very liquid, so that should be fine. And I've got one of these, sort of like I actually got this with a can of Waxol I bought. So you plonk that in the can of Waxol, and you can then spray it out here. I've just fitted a long sort of flexible hose on it, and a head like that. Hopefully that's focusing. It's like a little spray nozzle, and it's wired up to my compressor, so whoa, close enough. I don't want this thing to fall over on me. Right, so my theory is then that will fit like that, neatly, and down the other end, yeah, we're looking good, very good. So, all I need to do now then is, obviously I'm going to clean off some of this. This is like an under seal thing. The actual bend there is very good. Very good. I'll put a link to where I got this replacement sill. I mean, there's pretty much only one place in the UK anyway, but I'll put a link up because that fits quite nicely. It's exactly the same bend. Obviously I'm a bit higher here because I need to decide how much I'm going to take off, and it's whether I take it off with the sill or the replacement sill or the existing sill. I don't really want to be welding tight in the corner of this fold here. I'd rather be welding straight along the middle of this flap section because I can grind it a lot easier. That's my my theory, and I think it's good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just looking a bit more. That is very good actually. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grind along here. I'm going to halve the amount of material so there's a lip that I'm happy that I can weld on. And then I'm going to worry about the other end and just make sure that side fits. But yeah, there's a lump of metal here I need to grind off. So let's get on that straight away while I've got the grinder out. It's very slow progress grinding this to fit. As you can see, if I bring you in, I think this edge here needs folding down a bit more. There's still a bit more to take off of the car side, but I'm going to switch my attention to actually grinding off of the replacement sill, because I want this weld to come along, I mean basically midway along this, so I'm not welding in that corner. I'm sort of welding in a nice straight line, so effectively I want it like that, but I want it to fit. So I've still got this much left. But if I just come back, you can see I'm happy. Well, then there's a load of overlap now because I've kind of got it all strapped on with magnets and things. Up this end, less wired at the moment. I'm slowly getting there, but I'll come back to that in a bit. Probably gonna have to fold that up a little bit. I don't know if you can tell from the video, it's sort of, yeah, just about kind of, it's a little bit low. So that'll need to come up, but we'll deal with that when we've done up this end. So for now, what I'm gonna do is, I think I'm actually gonna take the sill off. I'm gonna try and bend this down a bit, and just see if I can get it to lay what I think is the correct angle. So that isn't at the moment. And then carry on grinding, but I'm gonna be grinding off of this now. Okay, let's have a look at this then. Not looking bad. Not looking bad at all. If I can hold it with my shaking hands. But there is more material to come off still. Alright, fitting, I don't know, 10 or 11. I've rolled this, let me just show you, this edge here, I've rolled over a bit more, so I'm shining a light to give a bit more shadow, and you can see that goes along there really nice now. I've just taped it in place, which is holding it a little high. It does actually line up with that as opposed to sit on top of that edge. So I think that's fine. You can see it sort of rolls over neatly. It's about the right height, a little bit more to fill there. Down this edge is pretty good. If I just feel, so it's slightly out, it's a little bit proud here, but when I weld that, that'll just tuck in, and down here is all absolutely smooth. So going up the front end is where the more problematic. The seam here, the join there is good, sits correct height at the top there. It's this part, and it's not bad now. It will sit about there. It's just a little bit lower than the wing, but if I press the wing, I can adjust the wing a little bit, and I think I'll be able to get that to come out enough so that it lines up. If not, I can always bend the wing a little bit, but I think we're pretty much there. It is a little bit lower as you look at the seam. You know, it does drop lower. It's possible I can bend this in a bit more, but there's a rolled over edge here which adds strength, and that's going to be a bit tricky to bend, but I don't think we're far off now. Oh, this is painful. I'm very, very slowly getting there. Sill. So the problem I've got, actually I'll show you this end, this way around. So this lip here, I mean, this sill is great. It's a really good, you know, it's bent correct, right length. It's got approximately the right radius bend here. It's all good, apart from this edge here wasn't folded down enough. So I've folded that down quite a bit, and you can sort of see along there. I've done a pretty good job with that, I think. And that's just by tapping with a hammer. I did apply sort of bending it very gently, and I gave up with that and then put it on the table. And I've just been going backs and forwards, tapping it with a hammer. And I'm pretty pleased with that. It's pretty straight. So the top edge now is looking very good. The problem comes, so this edge here also matches really well. The problem comes round the back. Let's turn it up the right way. Okay, so this is up by the driver's side door, and you can see it's got the edge folded over, which makes a lot more, gives it a lot more strength. It's not the correct radius though. It comes down, and it's probably, I'm going to say 5 mils, about half a centimetre. This edge here is lower than the front wing. So ideally I want to close this radius up. I want to make it bend it more like that, but I can't because it's got this strengthening edge. So I think what I'm going to do is cut some slits with a hacksaw blade. Hopefully that's focusing. It might be too close, I never know. I'm going to cut some slits in it that will allow me just to close it a little bit. If it turns out I don't need that many slits, or I don't need to do that, I can just weld them up. It doesn't matter, it's not a big deal. So that's what I'm going to do now, but generally it's getting there. I'm really pleased along this edge here. This lines up really good with that bottom of the door sill, well, top of the door sill, bottom of the door. That's looking really good. So with the 4 slits, what I'm hoping that allows me to do is just fold it, and it really doesn't need much. Like that. So you can see they're just starting to close up. I'm going to fold them a bit more. It's difficult to do by hand. They actually look like they're folded up a bit when I did it myself. Let's do it here. Right, that's a bit better. Okay, so they've just folded up a fraction. I'm going to try it on the car and we'll see what we've got. Right, I've marked up the metal 10 centimeters apart. I'm going to center punch it and then drill through, and then we can start looking at how we're going to weld this back on the car. Okay, I think we're finally ready to weld. A lot of people ask me things like, how do you know if you're doing it right? Where do you learn all this stuff from? I don't. I think it's a simple thing. It's all pretty logical from what I can see. And I'm sure I'm doing certain things slightly wrong. I do watch the odd YouTube video. I do talk to you guys. You can point me in the right direction. But ultimately, my view is, it needs doing. I've got to do it. I could take it to someone to get it done, but that's not what this project's about. I just enjoy doing it myself. And it's all learning and etc. Anyway. I've cleaned up the bottom seam. You can't see from there, but it's super shiny. The top edge is clean and just sprayed with a bit of weld through primer on it. I've done the edges, both edges are cleaned up. On this I've drilled all those holes along the bottom for the pool welds. All the edges that I can think of are shiny. Welded something. It welded nothing. Excellent. But it did blow straight through the sheet, so that's not too powerful. Along the bottom edge then I've drilled all of these holes, as you can see, and shined the metal on the other side so it's nice and shiny. So at the top here, I've just done one of them. You can see that first one's blown through. The second one right next to those clamps gone through really nice. So that's pretty good. Now, the next few along, I'm going to have to just lift this up a little bit, this edge, because it's dropping a bit low. And that's where this sill is not quite the right bend. But I think just lifting it a fraction, maybe by hand, I might do it with a trolley jack. And that should be pretty good, I think. It should line up okay. Down that end it's looking pretty much perfect, so yeah, get in there slowly. This is with the bottom all welded up. You can kind of see how I've done it. Just fill each of the holes with weld, and they've come up pretty good, I think. This bottom half, so from about here onwards, around there, I lifted up with the trolley jack, or the jack, just get a little bit more, sort of get it fitting a little bit better. It did sort of let go a bit, so I'm a bit annoyed about that. That means I've got a lip here, probably 3mm I need to grind off probably, which is not ideal, but it is on and it looks pretty decent, I think. We're starting to get a sill back together. Now I need to turn my attention back up the top here and sort of spot weld all the way along that seam. And while the side's cooling down, I'll come across here now. And again, I'm just going to spot weld it bit by bit and hope that it doesn't blow through. I've probably said this 10 times already in this video. This is not going well. Much harder than I was expecting. I mean, getting the sill fitting and everything took a lot of fettling, but it fits really nice. I'm not worried about that. It's getting that weld on the top edge. The bottom weld that I keep calling pool welds, puddle welds, whatever, fantastic, no problem at all. This top edge though is problematic. The problem with it is it either will blow through, so if I turn the power up on the welder it just blows straight through, or if it's too low it doesn't do anything particularly, you know, it just sort of crackles away. It's spitting and spluttering, which I suspect is bad earth, so I'm gonna do a little bit more welding now. I'm gonna make sure that the earthing's better. I'm going to grind along with a wire wheel as well on this top edge to make sure that the surfaces here are clear. They are completely clear, apart from there's a bit of weld through primer on the new sill, which I suspect is causing some of the problems. I also find that I'm trying to do spot after spot after spot, sort of next to each other as a sequence. And when I look, they're just not lined up, although I am coming down in a nice straight line. So I don't know why that is, whether the wire, how it feeds out the welder is coming out wonky or something, or maybe it's just me, or maybe it's arcing to the closest surface each time and it's sort of alternating between different points. I don't know. Ultimately, it is what it is, as I keep saying. I just need to keep pushing on. I will grind it flat, so it's fine. When it goes in for its spray job, they'll be filling across here anyway. I mean, it's never going to be not filled, as in I'm never going to get that looking absolutely pristine. I can tell actually around here has been filled as well, definitely on that bottom edge of the rear part of the sill that I didn't replace. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to adjust the welder slightly. I'm going to put the power up a bit, I think, and just keep practicing live. Just keep trying and see how we can do. Now though, going to grind it up with this wire wheel and sort of get it a bit cleaner and see if that helps. Right, it's on. That went so badly, I'm not even going to show you. I'm that ashamed of it. It makes these the bits I did earlier in the sill look good. For some reason, it splutters, it splats, it blows straight through. I've got the welder turned right down, right up, in between, fast, slow, everything you can imagine. It just isn't working. It just blows through, and then I think it's sort of even warping the metal a little bit as well, which makes it even harder. So I've just filled. Each time it blows through I have to fill it with weld and it's got worse and worse. Anyway, it is on. I'm going to go grinding and I might show you when I finish grinding when it looks semi-acceptable. But let's have a look. If not, you're going to see it probably a long time in the future. But anyway, I'm going to go do a bit of grinding and see what it comes out like. That's it ground, sort of ground down all the way along, but not completely yet. It's getting there. This end I've got to do something else because I can't get my grinder in tight. But you can kind of see it's a bit of a mess really. I'm not happy with it at all. But it is on there. There's a few holes I need to patch up. But yeah, slowly getting there. Right, that's it this week. Two thoughts then. So one, happy the sill is on. Second thought, really disappointed how it went on. I had this vision, I mean I've done quite a lot of welding now. I had this vision that would weld on beautifully and I'd have a really neat seam that you could look at and go, that's a pretty decent weld there. That didn't happen. What I found was, and I still don't know why, so leave me comments, tell me why. What I found is that it spluttered, it blew through constantly. The weld wouldn't go where I put it, so it was always sort of jumping around and either on the car, on the replacement sill, never exactly on the seam. It was really problematic. I obviously put the weld down, and I think I do show you enough of it in the end. I felt brave and actually showed you what I did. I ground it off. Then there was a few holes where it missed, and whatever. I went back to try and patch those up, and it just blew through. So I ended up with like the size of my thumbnail of a hole that I'm trying to patch up, and it just got worse and worse. But it is all patched up now. It's on there. I've partially ground it down. I think I'll give you a good shot of how I grind it down. Do I need to grind it flat? Do I need to take it right back down? The two pieces of metal are very level, so theoretically I could grind that right off. Or is there no point grinding it because the body shop is going to fill it anyway? Let me know. Comments in the the bottom of this video, please. I keep looking across to it because I'm really disappointed. I like how it's on there. It's fitted nice. It's just that weld just annoyed me. I think what I'm going to do, I've got a lot of the metal that I used to create the patches on the inner sill. I'm going to cut some of those up and practice welding those together because I should be able to do that, and it really bugs me that I can't. Anyway, I'm waffling. Thank you as ever for watching. Comments, likes, subscribe. Please subscribe. I need those subs, and I'll see you next time.